For an effect like snow, a simple spherical shape that has slightly randomized um, XYZ axis just won't do. I mean, if I draw a render region right now, sure, we have little snowflakes. They're horribly specular, and they're not lit very well, and of course my aliasing is really low. What I want to do is vary the shape of the snowflake. So I've actually got a variation in size already, but now we can actually go a little bit further and use the render tree to finish off this effect. It's going to require some compositing as well. First off, I would recommend us set the lights for the scene. So if we actually can figure out where our key light is, so I'll take the default infinite light and I'm just going to rename it to my key light, and it's got a main intensity of 0.75. Let's actually give that color. So I'm actually going to use the color picker here. I'm going to pick a color from this sun here. I'm going to actually pick a little bit of that pink if I can get it. So just going to give our particles a slight tint from the environment they're operating within. And I also have to make sure that this key light is kind of originating in the same direction as the light source in my texture map. So if I actually just switch this into texture decal view, you can actually see that I want the direction. I just kind of hit F here to come from the light source, which is up here. So I'm going to take that and rotate it. So I'll actually be illuminating the back side of the particles right now, which is fine. I'm just going to kind of bring the vector down a little bit so it's from above. So I'm actually getting the tops of the particles. I can probably cheat it a little bit more. But what I'll actually do is have a fill light coming in and illuminating the back sides here. So I'll actually just duplicate that key light and call that my fill light. And if I press enter to bring up its attributes, I'll take the intensity. There's probably a very strong key to fill ratio here, as this is a very bright scene. So I'm just going to tint this light slightly with the ambience of the scene, pick up some of the blues from that icy cold. And we'll keep the intensity just slightly less, maybe 72%. Okay, so the fill information is going to come from the opposite side, so I'm just going to rotate that fill to maximize the viewing of the particles here. So maybe something like this. Now the fill, of course, isn't going to be a specular emitting light, so I'm going to actually press enter and disable the specularity contribution on the fill light. So I could compensate by brightening it a little bit as well too, because the spec does account for quite a bit of the brightness. If I draw a render region now, the particles are a little more lit up. Again, I could probably blow these lights out because I'm dealing with very white colors. But again, I'm going to start with this and work towards something a little more when I've got a more advanced render tree. Let's start off by taking our point cloud and adding a shader to it. At the moment, it's using a scene material as reference. So I'm going to just jump into the render tree. So I'm going to switch over to render and click on modify materials. So I've already got my sky texture map, my terrain, and the trees. And in this library here, I'm going to create a new material. I'm going to call this one particle snow. And material, and work from there.